Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good day. Thank you very much for inviting me to the 4th edition of Asia Pacific Neurofeedback Association Conference. This is my third appearance, so thank you very much for bearing with me. I am with the Center of Intelligence and Imaging Research, University Technology Petronas. The title of my presentation is Development of Neurofeedback Stimulus Content with Enhancement to Improve the Efficacy of Neurofeedback for Stress Mitigation. The presentation follows in a way that I will present the background, the problems identified and objectives, the method, and then followed by results, and then conclusions and future recommendations. Well, for stress treatment, neurofeedback is nothing new, and neurofeedback itself is nothing new for you guys. So you guys are already much more expert than me for sure. This is Dr. Yasir Hafiz. He has been with me for the last 5 years, and this is Faraz. They have both graduated recently. Well, neurofeedback is a modality which can be used for the treatment of stress or actually so many other applications. It provides real-time information about neural processes to the subject. Well, as we all know that there are different frequencies, but we are focusing on alpha band, in particular alpha asymmetry. Alpha band represents the calmness, the readiness, the meditation, deeply relaxed and inside awareness of the brain. And frontal alpha asymmetry is associated with stress as per different research papers already reported. It is just nothing but FP2 minus FP1 divided by FP2 plus FP1, the alpha power. For a relaxed state, FP2 is supposed to be greater than FP1 in order to say that this brain is relaxed. This is generally speaking. Of course, we can have different types of brain as well, but this is like generally speaking. If to be very simple, if alpha asymmetry is high, we can say that this brain is relaxed. In terms of neurofeedback for stress mitigation, we have a lot of studies which have reported several problems, including treatment withdrawal, which we can see that many of the subjects have dropped out. Then there are non-responders. Non-responders means that neurofeedback was not working on them, as simple as that. And then some of them were complaining about the long duration of the process. It could take 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, which is very long actually. And even during the session itself, it was taking quite a lot of time. And then there were responders who showed lack of interest in the content, probably. So this was resulting in treatment withdrawal, which is very, very bad actually. We all know that these problems like stress and depression, it is very difficult to bring them for therapy. And then if they start dropping out or withdrawing the treatment, this could lead to like severe conditions, sort of severe circumstances for society and for himself as well, as they may result in harming others. In terms of neurofeedback protocol design, first of all, it is very important to focus on which region we are focusing on. As I've already mentioned, we are focusing on the frontal alpha asymmetry in the prefrontal cortex. The locations are important. Then, which frequencies are we focusing on? That depends on what application you're working on. So, for stress mitigation, we have selected the alpha band, which is reported in different literature. And then what's important in the protocol design is the stimulus content, the content that we show to the subject that provides the feedback to the subject. There are a number of different types of content. I will show you in a while. What is the content? Just to introduce, this is a real-time way to give a feedback to the subject. And it helps to give awareness of the brain real-time condition and controls the psychological state factor. It helps to control the psychological state factor. People have used a number of different types of stimulus content, including visual stimulus content. It could be just pictures. Similarly, audio stimulus content, it could be some sounds like sound of water flowing or some music. It could be audio visual, which is a video, I would say, video. And then they have used games, as many of you are aware of, especially the younger ones. They are much attracted towards the game stimulus content, and more recently, virtual reality is also used, although it has some own sort of limitations and problems. So summarizing, the problems faced during neurofeedback is the withdrawal from treatment, as I just mentioned at the beginning, and then non-responders to the neurofeedback training. This means that it's not working for them. So it may lead, it may be a result of different factors. One of them could be the content itself. Long-term training session is one source of such withdrawals, and the lack of interest in stimulus content of neurofeedback. So those who withdrawn the treatment, they could be because of the lack of interest. Well, plus on top of that, the selection of the content itself. First of all, if any, if there is a selection, it is based on the practitioner's experience solely. It tells it, okay, use this one. Okay, so there is no scientific way to use or choose a particular content. And neurofeedback treatment focused stimulus content is not available. They are using existing videos or audios or something. It is not designed or defined particularly for neurofeedback. So keeping all this in mind, the objective of this research was the selection of neurofeedback content, meaning investigate the effect of stimulus content selection on the efficacy of neurofeedback training for stress mitigation. Which content does the best job? Once we have selected which content, then go towards enhancement on that particular content. Why not enhance it further? Okay. So these are the two objectives for the research, and for that matter, we divided this research into two phases: phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 was the selection of neurofeedback content, and phase 2 was development of the enhanced content based on the results of phase 1. I will brief them in the next slides. Phase 1 is the selection of content. So we used existing neurofeedback contents, and we found the efficacy for each available content, and then analyze which content is suitable. We analyze based on different parameters. And phase 2 was based on the results from phase 1, which is the development of neurofeedback stimulus content with enhancements. Okay, so we took the feedback from the practitioners as well. We took the observations from phase 1, and we developed the content. Okay, so in phase 1, we chose audio, video, and game, existing available content. So it could be any audio that the subject wants to choose. Videos is like play pause, and the games which is provided by the vendor. Okay, this is the topomap before the neurofeedback sort of training, and this is the average of the entire session for different subjects. So this is a representative one, not actual ones for a subject, but it is the average of several sessions and several subjects. We took 20 subjects. So we can see that let me just choose this. You can see that the left region is more active than the right one. All of them. Basically, this was supposed to be the same actually, but because of different times we were doing game or the audio. So left region is like more active, and right is not. Audio and game, existing available content. So it could be any audio that the subject wants to choose. Videos is like play pause, and the games which is provided by the vendor. Okay, this is the topomap before the neurofeedback sort of training, and this is the average of the entire session for different subjects. So this is a representative one, not actual ones for a subject, but it is the average of several sessions and several subjects. We took 20 subjects. So we can see that the let me just choose this. You can see that the left region is more active than the right one. All of them. This was supposed to be the same actually, but because of different times when we're doing game or the audio, so left region is like more active and right is not. After therapy, what we noticed that the right region is more active. Right region is more active, and this resulted in showing. This slide shows the improvement in alpha asymmetry before and after. So if you can see that the game content is the one that shows the highest improvement in the increment of alpha asymmetry, showing that stress mitigation is the best for this particular content. The audio and video also worked, but the game content was the best. We also checked statistically as well, and we noticed that observations are correct as game stimulus content were different from audio and video, meaning it resulted or have a different efficacy compared to audio and video. We also had a positive and negative effect test as well, PANAS-P and PANAS-N, and we noticed that the PANAS-P was like sort of increased after the test, and PANAS N was decreasing after the test. So this shows that it has a good effect on the subject. During phase 1, we also got feedback from the subject based on questionnaires. Number 1 was the experience of neurofeedback session, and 76% were satisfied with the therapy or with the mitigation sessions. Then question 2 was the interruption or intervention during the session from the practitioner was not annoying or annoying or not. So 66% was saying that it was annoying because it was disturbing their focus, disturbing their whatever way they were trying to reduce their stress, it was disturbing. So adjustment of threshold or instructions by the practitioners were not. So this had to be sort of incorporated in the future enhancements. Was the stimulus content monotonous for you? This was a question, and most of them answered yes for audio and video as compared to game, as none of them were saying that games were monotonous. It was more interactive. It was interacting more with the brain. So games content were more, in a way, sort of interacting or activating the brain regions. So this also shows that the games are more suitable for stress mitigation. What else did we do is to also have an analysis of the effect of colors. Okay, so we displayed blank screens, not blank, but yellow, green, blue, pink, and teal colored screens, and we also observed the EEG during that session, and we also asked them which color was more suitable for them to verify. And each subject showed his own interest so that we can use that color dominantly in the developed games. So we noticed that actually whatever color they chose, it was more suitable for them, meaning that the brain state was more relaxed when they were using their own chosen colors. It's difficult to choose a single color for all participants, and the result verified that with the alpha asymmetry. The number of times participant is able to achieve the alpha asymmetry level during each session before neurofeedback is calculated and compared for each color, the result is the same as of the feedback of question number 5. So we kept this in mind that the subject should have the color in phase 2. Okay, so let's move to phase 2, which is the development of the enhanced content. And we have first of all already chosen that the games are the one. And we developed 3 different versions of the games with 3 different modifications as well. One such modification was using adaptive neurofeedback content for selection of threshold for neurofeedback training for stress mitigation, and the enhancement including based on the findings and observation from phase 1. Selection of threshold was made automatic. Like we used the EEG data, eyes open before neurofeedback, and we collected the data and we used it. And it was set accordingly during the eyes open session that what should be the threshold for that particular. So you all know that how we set the threshold for each subject. We have to adjust the alpha band or the beta band, whatever band you're selecting, but to adjust the threshold. It is at the moment not automatic. We have devised to make it automatic by making sure that we are adjusting to the subject's level automatically. Okay, this is sort of the framework that we worked on. So we have developed 3 games, as you can see. This is the asteroid and spacecraft shooter, roll ball, and craft racing. This was made in 2D, normal 2D, just like the previous games. This was 3D, but with a still background, which is like a pinball game, not completely immersive 3D, but and the craft racing was developed in a 3D manner. That's like not virtual reality 3D, but the screen can move here and there as well. Okay, so we developed 3 games, and each games had 3 versions: version 1, version 2, version 3. Version 1 was just simply the game, in which the game was activated based on the trigger set with alpha asymmetry. Version 2 was also having adaptive color selection. So the subject's color was incorporated during the enhancement, during the neurofeedback training session. And finally, instructions were also added in the version 3, in which rather than the practitioner tells the instructions were appearing on the screen. What we collected that the subjects were not comfortable with the practitioner coming along and guiding him or to do this, do that. They wanted to have individual so version 3 was having supportive messages or like encouraging messages as well when it was awarded, and it was like sort of motivating them towards continuing the game. So this is their first game, Asteroid and Spacecraft Shooter. As you can see, that this is a normal 2D game, very much standard, except that we were choosing different colors and the threshold was adaptive based on the first session. The trigger was the alpha power threshold at FP1 and FP2, the alpha asymmetry. This is version 2, which is similar to a pinball game. So, by the way, like in this game also, the control of the movement was based on the keyboard, just like the previous games. Keyboard is still also, he's not sleeping. He's not sleeping. He's actually playing, but the shooting comes as a reward when he's able to reduce the stress. The roll ball game, once again, the keyboard was used to move the ball, and he has to collect the gems and avoid the stones. Okay, so this is the game, and as long as he's not, he has to collect all the gems, and the reward keeps coming whenever he's able to reduce the stress. So that's the reward, is that he will get more and more gems, and with different scoring levels as well. And similarly, this is the craft racing. Again, this is a 3D game, so the screen was it was not just one simple 2D screen, but you can turn left or turn right, just like a 3D game. Again, the control of trigger alpha power threshold at FP1 and FP2, Movement was based on the keyboard, but scores were rewarded based on successful achievement of the threshold. This is the summary based on the colors. So we use yellow, green, blue, pink, and teal. Some of this is supposed to be yellow. So the color also changed automatically if the subject was not able to achieve the threshold. So just to help us to explore further, this can also be incorporated. At the moment, we just skip to fix in the that's based on the first session of the EEG eyes open. Okay, so instructions and the enhanced color selection. Color selection of the environment based on the performance of alpha asymmetry in eyes open session for each color background. Automatic instructions messages appeared on the screen to minimize the interruption from the practitioner. Okay. If we would say, yeah. So this actually helped in motivating the participant during the neurofeedback training session. It helped in minimizing the interference of the practitioner and increased the concentration of the participant during neurofeedback session. It was helping subjects to have more focus and keep on interacting with the game. It helped the participant to understand his current level of stress. Of course, this is the main idea of neurofeedback. The instruction messages tell the participant how he could achieve the threshold to score. So just like the practitioner was telling, okay, maybe have like good breathing pattern, or make some kind of eyes closed, or whatever instruction, it was given on the screen as well. Similar to phase 1, we here present the topo maps of before and after. Before and after, you can see that the right region is more active than the left region. And this is for the games, by the way, the games that we developed. This is in terms of the enhancement in alpha asymmetry, before and after the neurofeedback. You can see that games version 1, version means the simple game were the least, but the games with adaptive color selection and threshold and instructions were among the best for all the 10 subjects. We also had this positive and negative effect test, and we found that it was actually working. We were feeling better after playing this game compared to the previous one. And this shows a comparison between phase 1 and phase 2. So the first 3 are phase 1, which is audio, video, and game, and the yellow one is the average of phase 2 games version 1, 2, and 3. So we can see that the games were better, and they were resulting in better sort of efficacy. This is again a summary of the phase 1 and phase 2, and you can see that in phase 2 we achieved higher. One more thing, group 1 and group 2. Group 2 were like, let me just recall what was group 1 and group 2. I think this was a group which was not included in phase 1. How do we say that phase 2 is better? Phase 2 is better because we achieved in period 1 or period 2. Period 2 and period 3, sorry. Period 2 and period 3, we achieved higher levels of the alpha asymmetry, or the enhancement or the efficacy was higher in period 2 and period 3, which continue to improve. This means that the subject who initially might be facing difficulty in the previous content is now more actively engaged and is able to reduce the stress in phase 2, which is the enhanced brain content. Okay, so so if we sort of put the contributions, we can say that the selection of neurofeedback content of for stress mitigation is defined scientifically. We develop neurofeedback content that provides a range of selection of neurofeedback content. A real-time analysis of QEEG feature in eyes open session helped to select the threshold of different frequency bands for neurofeedback protocol. And selection of the game stimulus content environment in a systematic way by a real-time analysis of QEEG features. And the instruction messages displayed in real time helps to reduce interruption from practitioner during the neurofeedback training. Now, what could be the future for this, like for the way forward? One way is to make sure that we are getting the best out of it. One such thing is the threshold. Although we have selected an adaptive threshold, but that is still quite subjective and we still have to be tuned in a while. The purpose of setting the threshold is to put a threshold on stressed or non-stressed, stressed or non-stressed. But if this method can be made automatic using some machine learning approaches, it's even better because then you don't have to set the threshold. So what we did is we used deep learning to train the model to assess stress in real time. This was something very amazing that because we were able to use the existing data and use the new data, we used several matrices to define the stress level for the deep learning model, and the deep learning model was able to assess the stress or the mental state in real time within one second, which actually just 0.6 seconds, sufficient for the neurofeedback trigger control. So what we did is we collected data. This could be maybe helpful to understand. We collected a lot of data. So if we just use the whole data in one go, we might be able to get the features for stress assessment. But if we apply it on just 1 second window, we may get nothing. We might not be able to define if this particular window at which we are trying to make the stress assessment, is he stressed or not? Because we are basing it on the entire data, not on that particular second. With deep learning, we were able to, first of all, what we did, we did small windows. Let me just go back and just put it again. So we were applying deep learning on these small windows, not the whole window, but small windows. Small windows, and we trained the deep learning model, and from those small windows, we got the features. So when we got the features from small window, we were able to tell, the deep learning was able to tell if this window is like for a stress or non-stress condition. Otherwise, if we apply the features collected from the entire data for this window, we could end up with just one response. So this is the feature we're working on it to further enhance the neurofeedback protocol. Thank you very much. I would like to have as many questions as possible so that we can improve ourselves. Thank you.